Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Gonna get back to work on the 1972 C10 bed here, finishing up the wheelhouses and getting the inside of the bed done before I move on to the rear of the bed and the bodywork. So gonna go over what I've got done in the last couple of days to show you guys the finishing of the wheelhouses. Okay, so bed wheelhouses and floor modifications are done. Tires in here for mock-up, give you guys the idea of what the extra inch and an eighth or so gives me. Now it gives me plenty of room on the inside, so there won't be any tire to bedside clearance issues, as well as there's plenty of room now for the wheel and tire to move up and down inside the wheelhouse. So shouldn't be any rubbish now. Both sides have been widened, as well as the wheelhouses themselves are completely welded and ground down, and these are ready for installation now. And if you notice, what I've done here on both of these is where there's going to be metal to metal contact when these are bolted up, right here, as well as right here. I have sprayed those out in DP90 epoxy primer just for extra corrosion protection when this is all bolted together. And I thought about it, it would probably be easier to bodywork these and then put them on, but I worry about how there may be a little bit of distortion or flex when these are tightened up against the bed, and I would prefer to go ahead and bolt these on now and then bodywork them, just so there's no distortion or bending afterwards. I know it's being picky, but that's kind of how I am. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get both of these wheelhouses bolted up into their final assembly on the bed and see how it looks. Okay, fast forward through all the tightening of all the hardware, and the wheelhouses are in their final position. And after it's all body worked and painted, you will never be able to tell that these were widened unless you know exactly where that wheelhouse gap is next to this rib. You're not going to be able to tell that these were widened one bit. And that's what I was going for, is I wanted to go as flush this rib without having to modify the bed floor as much as possible. And that's what I got. I think it looks good. I'm happy with the outcome, and we'll definitely be able to fit these 315 tires on the back. And now I've got to figure out what to do back here. So initially I was going to put a front and rear bumper on this thing. Front bumper is going to be painted, color match the body, and I was going to do the same with the rear. But the more I think about back here, I think I'm going to go with the roll pan. And why I think I'm going to do that is because of my exhaust choice. And I was going to do possibly bedside exhaust or coming out the back here. And I've decided that I'm going to do a rear exhaust on this thing. And the way I've got it planned in my mind, I don't want to have it come down below the bumper, and I don't think I want to come through the bumper. I'd rather do something with a roll pan back here and then have the exhaust tips come through the actual roll pan itself. Or at the very least, take this body line and have it come up and have a spot for the tips to come out the bottom half of the roll pan. So just what I've got in mind on the exhaust exiting. I think it would look better with what I'm gonna do back here if I do a roll pan. So I still need to decide finally on that, and if that's the case, I need to get a roll pan ordered so I can start getting that put in here and getting it metal worked for the exhaust exits. What I really like the look of is, you guys have to do a Google search on this, but there is what's called the ZL1 C10. It debuted at SEMA about 6 years ago or so. It's kind of a cream colored C10 that they built using a lot of Camaro ZL1 parts, and they did a roll pan on the back here that looked phenomenal. It's probably one of the better ones I've seen done on 72, well, I should say 67 to 72 C10, and I would kind of like to replicate that look back here. So I think that's going to be the route that I want to go, just because I don't really like the looks of the factory bumpers, and I don't really like the looks of a straight roll pan, but combine the looks that the guy did with the ZL1 C10 is kind of the direction I want to go. So the Wheelhouses are widened, they're bolted back in place, and they are ready for body work. Pretty much, I keep track of almost all the labor time I have on this truck for doing everything. Multiple reasons. One, in case I decide to sell the truck in the future, or two, also just because I want to know exactly how much time and money this whole restoration and build is costing me. Didn't keep an exact time doing the Wheelhouses, but it's pretty close to 8 hours is what it took me to widen them, you know, cut, weld everything back together, grind, cut the bed out, widen it up, and re-drill the holes so everything can bolt back together. So we're just gonna say 8 hours to do that. It's a lot of time to do a simple modification, but I mean, if you gotta make extra room, you gotta make extra room, and that's one way to do it. So appreciate you guys watching as always, and there will be more videos to come. So we'll see you guys next time.